From the halls of the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. to your living room, this is Capitol Talk with Congressman Tim Bishop.
Welcome to Capitol Talk, an exclusive interview with your Congressman Tim Bishop. Congressman Bishop represents New York's 1st Congressional District, which spans the eastern end of Long Island from Smithtown to Montauk Point. A lifelong resident of Long Island, he's proud of his record of hard work and effective constituent service. He works 7 days a week and has hosted more than 100 town hall meetings throughout Suffolk County. He was first elected to Congress in 2002 and has been re-elected by strong majorities ever since. Congressman Bishop's focus is protecting Long Island's middle-class families, and his priorities in Congress include improving our economy, fighting for veterans, safeguarding the environment, strengthening access to education, and reforming health care. He's a member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, the Education and Labor Committee, and the Budget Committee. Today we will look at recent developments in the 111th Congress and issues that directly affect Long Island. We'll also feature questions submitted to Congressman Bishop by residents of the 1st Congressional District. I'm Oliver Longwell, Legislative Aide to Congressman Bishop. Welcome to Capitol Talk, Congressman.
Happy to be here, Oliver.
Let's start with some issues regarding the economic recovery on Long Island. Earlier this year, Congress passed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act in order to help turn our economy around. You were a strong supporter of this legislation. There have been a lot of reports about how the Economic Recovery Act is creating jobs around the country. Are these jobs coming to Long Island as well? Could you give us some examples?
Sure. I think there's two principal areas where the Recovery Act has been of great benefit to Long Island. One is in construction and road improvement jobs, and the other is in education. With respect to construction, we were successful, for example, in securing $140 million in the Recovery Act to begin the construction of the NSLS-2 facility at Brookhaven Lab. That's a facility that's going to employ about 1,000 construction workers, and once it opens, it will employ several hundred very high-priced scientific and research people. So a very important move in terms of the scientific and research capability of the lab, but also a very important move in terms of getting people employed and bringing money to the local economy. We also were successful in bringing about $155 million of various roadway projects to Nassau and Suffolk, and those roadway projects are now underway. There's one on Route 110, a big project there, particularly the bridge over the Long Island Expressway. There's a major project on Route 112 in the Coram area, also a very important project. There's going to be repaving of the service roads of the Long Island Expressway. So we're going to put a lot of people to work. And we're also going to be improving our infrastructure. Both things are very important. With respect to education, what we did there primarily was save jobs. Approximately $155 million of federal money came to Long Island to offset or to backfill the cuts that were imposed on local education by the New York State's fiscal crisis. There are 124 school districts on Long Island. Only 2 budgets went down in budget votes last spring. There is no question that had that $155 million of federal money not been available to the districts, an enormous number of budget votes would have gone down, and the districts would have been left with really one of two unacceptable choices. They would have either had to lay off $155 million worth of people, in other words, an enormous number of teachers and support staff, or they would have had to have raised the tax levy by $155 million. Neither choice is acceptable. Particularly the latter choice would have had a very detrimental impact on middle-class families. So the federal government stepping in saved local tax dollars, it saved jobs, and it provided or preserved a quality of education that we all want to have. So we clearly have to get money out the door as quickly as possible with the stimulus package. We clearly have to put more people to work. But I think just in those two areas alone for Long Island, the stimulus has had a great impact.
Back to infrastructure, many Long Islanders are concerned about the region's aging infrastructure and especially the clean water supply. What have you been doing to upgrade the infrastructure on Long Island, and how is this going to help the local economy?
A couple things. Again, with the stimulus, we were able to provide for $1.1 billion worth of highway and transit money to come to the state of New York. Year one of that was approximately $154 million, as I said a moment ago, for Long Island, and that's all infrastructure. That's all roadway and bridges and so on. With respect to clean water, we increased the funding for what's called the State Revolving Fund by about $8 billion nationally, and New York got in year one approximately $450 million of that. So over a 2-year period, we'll get approximately $900 million in so-called SRF funding, and that's used to upgrade wastewater treatment facilities and other forms of wastewater infrastructure. And I'll just give one example of both the impact of that and what it means to the local tax base. We were able to steer approximately $2.7 million to Greenport to upgrade their wastewater treatment facility. They were under a court order to upgrade it because of nitrogen loading in the Sound, and we were able to steer $2.7 million of stimulus money there, and so they're able to undertake that project. Now, Greenport is a village with 2,200 year-round residents. Just imagine what the tax burden would have been on those year-round residents if they had had to take on a $2.7 million obligation. They didn't have to take it on because the federal government stepped in. So again, we put people to work, we're improving the water quality of Long Island Sound, and we are saving the local tax base of the village of Greenport $2.7 million. Again, everybody wins in that scenario.
And along the same lines of partnering with local governments, can you tell us about the infrastructure workshop you're going to be holding on Long Island?
Yes, we're going to be holding an infrastructure workshop around mid-December, and what we want to do is we want to bring together all of the stakeholders. We want to bring together all of the people from the towns, the villages, the county, and the state, so that they fully understand how the federal funding process for highway and infrastructure projects work. We are trying to streamline that process, but still in all, we want to make sure that all of the stakeholders know how to access the money that is available, and to do so in a relatively effective fashion, so that we can get projects going, put people to work, and improve communities. And we have had some experiences where the local government partners that we work with, towns and villages, have had either some confusion or some difficulty in accessing federal monies that have been appropriated for them. We've been able to intercede and solve the problems, but what we would like to do is prevent the problems from occurring in the first place. So we're going to get all the players together. We're also going to invite the contracting community, the Long Island Contractors Association. We're going to invite the labor community, the people that actually do the work, so that we are all on the same page, we all know how to do it, and we're all, in effect, poised to go after as much federal money as we can possibly get and put that money to work as quickly as we possibly can.
On today's show, we'll be featuring some questions sent to you from constituents on Long Island. Related to the economy, Richard in Brookhaven writes, are there any plans to extend unemployment benefits in the states where they're about to expire?
Yes. In fact, the House has already passed an extension of unemployment benefits to recognize the fact that we are dealing with more long-term unemployed than we ever have, at least in recent history. So the House passed an extension. We're now waiting on the Senate to act. Hopefully the Senate will clear it. There are some I would say simply political difficulties right now in the state. I think in the Senate, I think everyone agrees that we need to do this. There is a mechanism to pay for it, so it does not add to the deficit. But we need to get the Senate to act and pass it so that we can get it to the president's desk and signed into law. People need the safety net until we can get the economy back on its feet.
And in terms of growing jobs, this year the U.S. Chamber of Commerce honored you with its Spirit of Enterprise Award. Why are you working hard to help small businesses?
Well, I'm working hard to help small businesses for lots of reasons, but the principal one is that small business is the primary economic engine and the primary engine of job creation on Long Island, and particularly in our district. If you look at the economy of our district, it is an economy that is rooted in travel and tourism, in farming and fishing, and in everything related to the second home industry. And all of that revolves around small businesses. And so I have worked very hard to see to it that those small businesses can exist in an environment in which they can prosper, where they have customers, where they can sell their wares, where they can utilize their skills. And so I was very honored and very grateful to be recognized by the Chamber. But in my opinion, it's work that I simply need to do in order to do a good job of representing the economic interests of my district.